Hi.
Trucks.
It's the trucks.
Trucks.
Today's deal. Cement. Okay, gang. I really hope that we've got a cement mixer.
Do we have a cement mixer?
Oh,
No.
It's all a waste.
It's a milk tanker full of cement.
I don't want to do it anymore.
You picked the boringest route because you were so excited about the cement.
It's our job now.
We're just going to go through miles and miles and miles in Germany. Miles and miles and miles and miles in Germany.
We can't keep avoiding Germany. It's most of the game.
I know, it's true. We've been so turned off by Germany now. I haven't had a chance to say a good ass fart for like weeks.
I can't really say that Germany in this game is particularly worse than anything else.
No, it's the condition of mental rarity.
That might really be the name for that.
Maybe.
So you are just guessing.
What?
When you say it's the condition of mental rarity, is that the name for that?
No, that was me trying to put together words in a sentence and it not working at all.
It sounded like the name someone might give something.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm probably the kind of guy who might name a thing.
True.
You know?
You're an academic.
I'm not. By any definition.
You have the soul of an academic.
I have the soul of a poet. That's what I got.
Oh, yeah. Well...
I'm a beatboxer inside.
A poetry scholar, then.
Oh, Lord, that's the worst kind of human being. Imagine a thing.
Not true.
Imagine a thing that has no value and then take away all the other value and then somehow give it money anyway. And there you have an academic who studies poetry.
I was taught poetry by a poetry grad student.
Gad student?
Grad student.
Yeah?
He was kind of cool. He wrote good poems. I only remember one bit from any of his poems, unfortunately. And it's the bit where he goes, no, 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 no.
Well, I think that guy is lame and stupid. And that brings us to our topic of conversation this week, which is judging strangers.
We're gonna just see how this one goes, guys. Please don't judge us.
I feel like we're not strangers anymore. I feel like each and every one of you who listens to this, watches this, who experiences this truckcast,
has been with us from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's weirdly true. I don't think we get that many people who just tune in the middle, although I always try to, I try not to be too alienating to anybody who might be doing that. But, I don't know.
Maybe we should try being alienating. Maybe that's what's been missing.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's a weird thing that I've noticed is that people will say, I can't listen to the latest episode of Trucks yet because I am not caught up. As if we're in Deep Space Nine or something.
As if we're Deep Space Nine. I think that should be our catchphrase. We finally have a catchphrase.
Be careful. It's Star Trek.
That's true. Oh, there's another good catchphrase.
Be careful.
Be careful at Star Trek. I like that a lot.
I think we might just be in one of those moods right now where everything we say is a catchphrase.
There's an Alp in the distance. A German Alp, maybe? I don't think we're actually going to be able to go through a mountain, though.
Well, through a mountain, no. But around one, yes.
But not over one.
No.
Over, under, around.
Are we in Germany? Shall we check?
Yeah, no, of course we're in Germany.
Fingers hovering over the map button. Here we go. Zoom out. You're in Germany, I guess. It's called Salzburg, and that's called München. So yeah.
Yeah. Salzburg.
Salzburg. It's where the salesmen live.
So what we've done now is we've squandered what was, I think, a B+ segue at the very least.
That's fine.
I don't think so. I think you stomped all over my segue, dude.
No, by saying, please don't judge us?
Oh, no. You were continuing my segue there. I guess I was the one who failed to pick up the football and run with it. At that point, I was a doubting Thomas.
That's I feel like that's not the first time anybody has said doubting Thomas to me.
Well, it wouldn't be. It's a phrase.
What? God, it sounds like such a made-up... Okay, anyway, let's really do this now.
Josh knows nothing about Christianity.
Oh, it's true.
Josh was like... I was like, hey, look at all the ash on people's heads because it's Ash Wednesday. And he was like... I
was appalled.
That sounds stupid. And I was like... That was actually pretty much literally what you said.
Yeah. That's what I sound like when I just get really upset.
Yeah. And
I
now,
honestly, I was looking at this dude through the Burger King window with ash on his head, and I was like, does that dude have a cross tattooed on his forehead?
It did kind of look like that.
He doesn't look
like a neo-Nazi.
He doesn't look that hardcore. I mean,
he is in a Burger King. not eating his fries particularly viciously. But yeah, no, it's Ash Wednesday, and Josh does not know a thing about
never heard
the
of that
religion
before.
that birthed him. He's not an Anglican.
That religion did not birth me.
Well, your mom birthed you, I know.
She's not Catholic.
Well, is she Anglican?
She's nothing.
Oh.
She's like, she kind of likes
This just in, Josh's mom is nothing. She is the void.
I mean,
she is the primeval soup.
She genuinely doesn't like to identify. She sometimes talks about how it's fun to think about how maybe spirits are real, but not in any kind of like I'm gonna practice anything sort of way.
She is an agnostic pagan.
Yeah, kinda. I guess. I guess she's at various times called herself a humanist because, quote, well, if you really think about it, aren't we God? And also, I think she might have...
I'm judging your mom now.
She really doesn't take any of this seriously. I think it's worth pointing out.
That makes sense.
My dad, however, is a stick-in-the-mud atheist.
Fair enough. And I was raised by an existentialist an existentialist, former Jungian, who later in life decided that he was actually Jewish, but was still mostly an existentialist, and a Gnostic whisperer to trees. So and
I'm judging your mom.
I run the basis. My mom is literally magic. I'll have you know.
It does sound like she believes that.
My mom, when she was a child, could see molecules.
Whoa.
My mom talks to plants and they talk back.
I talk to video games.
I talk to the trees. That's why they put me away.
So please tell us why you've been thinking about judging people on the internet.
Oh, thank you, Josh. Thank you. I was losing it there. I forget.
You were singing. You were breaking out into song.
I forget what other thing about Christianity that you weren't able to understand just now. Oh well, that's a shame.
It just occurred to me the similarity between breaking out in song as a phrase and like something associated with disease, like breaking out in hives.
That's a good point, particularly in regards to what I just did there. But anyway, I've been thinking about judging strangers on the internet because we've been relatively judgy here recently. We tend to talk about art in ways that sort of morally condemn the people that make it when we talk about art. And also when our good buddy Rob was on, we said some relatively judgy things about everybody involved in Less Wrong.
You did say the words, "I'm not castigating anybody," but then I said, "But I am."
Yes, that's right. So in fact, Josh is the meanie, and I am a kitten. I'm a soft kitten.
So this is all Isaac's way of scolding me.
I'm not actually scolding you because then on my blog I took a suicidal, depressive man who I really respected to task for being publicly self-serving about his suicidal depression. The background of this is that Tom Siddell, who draws Gunner Creek Court, and who is a man who I respect and whose work I've followed for a long time, made a stupid joke on Twitter over the weekend, and some trans people got upset, and then he retweeted every person who tweeted at him.
Which essentially planted a big neon sign on all of their Twitters saying, "Hey, I'm a trans person, please harass me."
Yes, exactly. So the joke was not bad.
Mm-hmm.
That was bad. He did a bad thing.
Yes.
And then he, after he went through the usual like semi-apology, followed by a real apology, followed by deleting the offending tweets, he went to Tumblr, and wrote a blog post which was essentially, I did a very bad thing. I did a very, very, very bad thing. I hope that you can forgive me for doing a very, very, very bad thing.
But I know you won't.
And
Everything I've done.
I nearly destroyed all of the work that I've ever done, and 8 years down the shitter, and I almost killed myself over the weekend, but then I realized I still had work to do, and so I couldn't kill myself yet, but I thought about it, you guys.
And you're being condescending about this even now.
I am, because as a person who also has clinical depression and struggles with suicidal thoughts, hello, it's kind of a whammy to drop on folks. You gotta be like, you can't talk about breaking your own neck in public in the way that he did there. That's not good. It reinforces the narrative. I wrote on my Tumblr. If you can follow my Tumblr,
I'll link to the post.
I wrote about this more cogently than I'm going to talk about this now. But the point is that what we do on the internet is that we take isolated bits and pieces of people's language and thought out of context and then respond to them. That is basically what Tumblr is. It is a machine whereby we take the fraction, the tiny piece of a person's life which is visible to us because it is on the internet, and then we judge them. Yes. Essentially, we use this as sort of fodder for and when I say we, I mean me.
We all do that.
We all do this for pushing whatever narrative that we want to push. Whatever little piece of the pie resonates with us is the thing that we respond to. And so my immediate reaction was, okay, that's not okay for these reasons which apply to my situation. Whereas another person looking at it would be like, how dare you mock this person who is doing this cry for help? I was like, I'm not mocking, but I was not also uncritically accepting. Mm-hmm. So it got me thinking about how basically the internet is sort of a factory for making moral judgments about strangers.
Yeah.
Shall I continue?
Yeah, go on.
Well, it's like this has sort of been what I mean. The internet has sort of been back in the olden days, like back when the internet was relatively new. One of like the main fun activities for weirdos on the internet was to compile and make fun of the excesses of other weirdos on the internet.
Yeah.
Ooh. Just clipped somebody with your cement non-mixer there.
I just bashed him with my cement.
That's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like that back in the day, we had things like Portal of Evil.
God damn.
You remember Portal of Evil?
Oh God, like that's a little before my time, but like I kind of remember the tail end of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And we spent, I would say that as a young child, as a 16 young child, as like a 15, 16, 17-year-old, I spent a fair amount of my time on the internet looking at other people's like weird shit and looking at other people's articles about other people's weird shit.
Yeah.
Like people like Sean Baby.
Oh, man.
And people like, Uncle whatever the fuck his name was from that other site.
Sean Baby got a job with Electronic Gaming Monthly eventually. Just a fun side note.
Yeah, I don't care. He was never a particularly good writer.
No.
Sean Baby is one of those people who really benefited from being an early adopter because nobody was being snarky on that level yet.
Yeah, same with Maddox of the best page in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying some snarky shit all the time, and it was amazing to see somehow.
Yeah, it was. That was. I mean, the thing about it was all just like a torrent of new information. I became obsessed with furry web rings. My first like.
I'm gonna take that one out of context. Isaac became obsessed with furry web rings. I'm just gonna spread that information around.
This you showed that piece I wrote to that guy, and because I said the word Fluttershy, he A, assumed I was a brony, and B, dismissed everything that I said out of hand because I was a brony.
But here we have a full sentence.
A full sentence to be taken out of context. But on the face of it, that sentence is accurate. Although never a furry myself, I became obsessed with watching the furry fandom. This was before we had the word fandom, actually, or it was before we applied the word fandom.
The furry culture.
The furry, yeah, well, that was the thing. It was an emergent culture on the internet, and I found that, like, super exciting and interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
And I was like, Gad, these people are fucking weirdos. I'm a weirdo. I'm not specifically this kind of weirdo, but I'm a weirdo. This gives me hope that I can find some kind of community of like-minded weirdos on the internet.
What kind of community, may I ask, would that have looked like?
If I had found the one for me?
Yes.
At the age of 17?
Yes.
You don't want to know.
Okay.
It would have been terrible.
Fair enough.
All of the communities that I found in real
too.
life were terrible. It would have involved a lot of very dramatic people trying to sound smarter than they were.
Yeah, I think my unfortunate 17-year-old weirdo community actually exists now, although I'm not going to share which one it is.
Oh, come on, do.
Nah.
Okay.
It has to be an even trade if we're going to do that.
That's true, but I don't even know what mine would be.
Right.
That's the problem. But regardless, the shame of the past aside. And so, I was into common and chronic internet hobby horse what's-her-face who writes Unicorn Jelly. I was like, God, this person is fascinating.
Right. Okay.
And
did you watch these furries judge people, or did you judge them? Where are we going?
Well, did I watch these furries judge people? I did, in fact, watch these furries judge people.
I'm sure.
I happened upon the furry fandom during a massive schism that happened between furries that were into porn and furries that were not into porn.
Oh, God.
And
I know who won that battle.
Here's a pro tip. If there's ever a battle between porn and non-porn, the smart money is going to be on the porn. But oh my God, there was these anti-porn vigilantes who would troll and flame. That was a word that we used back in the day. Flame.
Flame. Oh God, yeah.
You remember flaming?
I remember so much. I'm having an internet nostalgia trip.
Exactly. Well, maybe that's partially what this is about. I think I just wanted an excuse to reminisce about the dawn days of my interaction with the internet.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I'll tell you about mine after.
Yeah. But of course, there's massive drama and hissy fits and people making alliances and breaking alliances and having snit fits and quitting the internet and coming back, as like you do.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
And all of this happening within a context that by any I think it was Wired magazine that noticed that furries existed first and wrote 5 paragraphs about them, which outraged half of the furries on the internet and really pleased the other half. And
I hung out for a brief time when I was quite young, around 13, on Furcadia, actually.
Oh, there you go.
Mostly because at that age I was really fascinated with graphical chat interfaces, and I hadn't really known that there was a furry thing. I just thought, well, in this one everybody's an animal, so that's kind of cool, I guess.
Right.
And yeah, that was
seduction of the innocent, and the foxtail that you currently wear tells the story. Really, that
didn't happen to me, luckily. But yeah, and that was definitely kind of an interesting learning experience.
You know that R. Crumb said that his first sexual thought as a child was while watching Porky Pig on TV. That's just.
I mean, I'm sure that's going to be infinitely relatable for many of our listeners.
You should totally watch the movie Crumb if you haven't. It's a fascinating experience. Speaking of judging weirdos.
Yeah, we're totally... I was totally just about to talk about my theory for why furries are a thing. And it has everything to do with our being a generation who experienced sexual awakening at the hands of that girl bunny from Space Jam.
Lola Bunny created the furry fandom. The problem with this is that there were furries who I was following when I was 17, who were 40 years old.
There's older examples.
Well, I mean, and who were just being able to connect with each other for the first time, in a sort of serious and complicated way because of the internet.
Right.
But yeah, no, I blame Chuck Jones, frankly.
Chuck Jones, he's Looney Tunes, isn't he?
Yeah.
Was anybody sexy in Looney Tunes? I guess Bugs Bunny was kind of sexy.
He put on dresses all the time, man. That's just going to confuse children.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they're having a theory about furries is offensive.
It's pretty judgy.
Frankly, yeah. No, it's people are into what they're into, and you're it's but I came up with these theories, of course, when I was a kid. I was noticing anthropological things. I was there's a big crossover between furries and hardcore Christians, and there's a big crossover between furries and Southerners, particularly. In Southern newspapers, there are furry strips in the newspaper which are also Christian. Like, I was in Atlanta and I saw this and I was like, what the fuck? And
right, I mean,
but all of this is like dehumanizing.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
there's, it's fair to notice correlations with like there's aspects of freedom that will appeal to people who are also interested in certain other things, but
it's a kind of thinking that leads to bad, like,
right, demographics isn't psychology.
Exactly. It leads to making unfortunate assumptions about human beings, which is not what we are after. What we are after, as I keep saying, is the specific and the individual.
Yeah.
The case at hand is what we're after.
But I still don't want to hang out with anybody who makes it a big deal within their identity that they like furry porn.
So Josh is judgier than I am. There's no two ways about it. If any of you,
it's hard to believe.
If liking furry porn is a big part of any of your identities, you can come out to me, man. I welcome you with open arms. I do not judge. We all have our little peccadillos. But it's.
I don't want to hang out with you.
What it is it's a matter of social intelligence is really what we're measuring when we measure these things. It's not, are you into this? It's like, how public are you about being into this?
Right.
How much a part of your everyday life is it that you're into this?
Right.
Yeah. And it's like,
if it's just what you jack off to, I don't care, man.
Exactly. That is not the point. But but also, frankly, I don't begrudge you with finding a community based around people who like to jack off to the same things that you do, because that's kind of how fetish works, and there's a whole community around that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I appreciate that.
You're not gonna find anybody to dress up like a fox for you if you don't get out there.
Totally.
But social intelligence, boundaries. But anyway, we've been talking about being judgy, but now we're being judgy.
Oh, it's a hard one. It's a hard one to get at the core of. But let me circle slowly back around here. Like, my early internet experiences were in the age where like knockoff forms of something awful were kind of a thing. Like my first form in my teenage years was it was the unmoderated form, the unmoderated subform on a website dedicated to remixing video game music.
Overclocked.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yep.
So it was kind of it was its own special little cesspit. The funny thing about all these places is that they had like equal parts like pretty funny comedy and just awful people being awful.
Like sexism, racism, homophobia, or just
not so much of that stuff.
Bullying and cruelty.
Yeah, bullying and cruelty. Mostly cliquing, I guess. Like, and also profanity, if you care about that.
Nobody cares about that.
Yeah, but it was a huge thing. Is why I bring it up. Like, this was the era of Goatsy and Top Girl and all those.
So by profanity, you mean?
Yeah, I mean,
the stuff we would call them. What do they like? What do the kids call them?
I forgot what they called it.
Screamers.
No, I don't know if those things had a name. I think they were each kind of unto themselves.
Yeah, Rotten.com. You remember Rotten.com?
What was that?
Oh, it was just a collection of all the things that you couldn't unsee.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a picture on that site of it. They had like things on that site which were supposed to be distressing but were just silly.
Right.
Which kind of gave you a lens into what the minds of the people who created it were. And then they were just like aftermaths of horrific traffic accidents.
Yeah.
I still have this image of this dude without a face like in my head forever because I went on that website. Internet hygiene, man, it's important.
But yeah, like, and I also remember like a similar thing. I hung out in the IDM chat room on SoulSeek for a long time, and that was this thing where like if anybody came into like what these chat rooms supposedly existed for was so that people could like come in and ask a question about that genre of music. But if anybody did that, we savaged them. And it was really fun. I mean, especially for a dude who, like, this was before I had my cliquish friends in high school, who I told you about earlier.
Right.
This was while I was kind of a kid who I had friends, but they weren't the cool friends, and I knew that. And it was kind of a nice relief. I had found an environment where I could be the cool one, at least in the eyes of my buddies. So yeah, I mean that's kind of one of the ways in which we judge people on the internet, isn't it? It's
back to the theme. Back to the theme.
It's self-serving, ultimately.
I'm going to invite you to judge me. I always wanted to be part of that kind of community, and even as a youngster, I was never able to. I used to hang out in the like D&D role-playing tavern AOL chat room.
Oh yeah, you just can't do it there.
When I was in middle school. And I would remember flirting with middle-aged women.
Oh my god.
And being like, nobody knows I'm 12. Nobody knows I'm 12.
I bet they could figure it out.
Well, I was very articulate. Stupid, but very articulate. Like many a nerd.
You see, if the mistake you're making back then, young Isaac, is like if you want to be cool and you want to pick on people, you have to be into something cool, like IDM.
That was my problem. I wasn't into anything cool. It took me so long to get it. I was in college before I was into anything remotely cool. I got into indie music, and then I was fucking insufferable for years.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I mean, we were all insufferable, too. Everybody's insufferable.
Everybody was insufferable.
Deep down inside, we're all insufferable.
I know, but part of the deal is growing up and figuring out how to modulate your presentation, man.
Yeah.
And we judge people for not doing that because we remember how terrible it was to be like that.
Yeah.
I always react the most negatively to the stuff that reminds me the most of my own behavior, or is like the stuff that I want to do but don't.
Yeah.
Which I think is the problem that I had specifically with Tom Gunner-Krigg.
So, this is a question with an obvious answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I think it's, if we're really going to examine this theme, important to express.
Absolutely.
What is a justifiable thing to judge somebody for?
That's an excellent question. There's a sort of, there is a, the line that people tend to draw is that it is okay to judge people for something which is a choice, but it is not okay to judge people for something that they do not have control over.
Interesting.
And the problem is that there is a lot of disagreement about where exactly that line.
Yeah, that sounds like a genuine philosophical challenge.
It is. Well, it is. I mean, it draws itself out in the most blatant terms in between the being gay is a choice, being gay is inborn kind of people. Whereas the real which obfuscates being gay, even if it's a choice or not. It's why are you making fun of people for it? The thing that I go back to is that it is okay to judge people for being a dick to others. But once again, this is where do you draw the line? Do you if somebody is clearly making fun of or bullying somebody for what we perceive as no good reason, then sure, go ahead. If they make a piece of art that forward stereotypical views about a group of people, is it okay to judge them then?
Yes.
That's
the answer I was expecting. If they do something bigoted.
I mean, yeah. The long and the short of it is that I have certain political views. If you cross those political views, I will judge the fuck out of you. And
all of them? Some political views are more important than others, right?
Well, yes. I mean, the ones that I'm talking about are the ones about who's a human being and deserves respect and who doesn't.
Yeah, okay.
And frankly, just holding the line on those gives me a massive array of assholes to judge.
Totally.
But there's also is this person just an arrogant dickhead? Mm-hmm. And is it okay to judge them just for being an arrogant dickhead?
Probably.
I mean, the thing is that being an arrogant dickhead also tends to verge into some of these other political problems that I was talking about, which is why my politics are right.
Oh. That's a complicated statement you just made.
It is. I just implicated myself as an arrogant dickhead. It eats itself. It's an Ouroboros. It's a snake.
It's a rope-a-dope.
It's a rope-a-dope. It's a sucker-punch.
Yo, judging people for having, like, unpleasing personalities. That's our frame rate.
Okay, cool. I just didn't know if it was the right color or not.
Yeah, it's the right color.
Okay.
Red means recording. Don't you know, like, anything?
R equals R. Oh god, no. I've just outed myself as a noob. I'm a noob. Is it okay to judge people for being noobs?
Sometimes.
Is it?
If they're a noob but they're pretending they're a pro, then yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, that's totally worth judging. Hypocrisy.
Yes.
That's the thing that's worth judging people for, right? Hypocrisy, dissembling, lying. We don't like it when people lie.
Why?
Well, that's a good question, because lying is what the internet is for. Pretending to be something that you're not is like part of what, just being online is about, isn't it?
But being obvious about it is bad.
Yeah, just be better at dissembling. That's what we're telling people. Well, this is the problem, like judging people for being bad at things that we are now good at.
Are we dissembling?
We're
pretending to be podcasters.
Yeah, and it's like, but we're not trying very hard. We're bad at pretending to be podcasters, even.
Is that just our cloak, our shield, our armor?
Yeah, no.
How do you judge anybody?
Too many layers of sarcasm, too many layers of irony. I can't do it.
We've got 20 virtual minutes left.
Oh wow, we're almost done.
Yeah, and let's answer the extremely complicated question of whether or not it's okay to judge people for having a personality which isn't problematic politically, but is no fun to be around.
And I say no. I say it is not okay to judge somebody for just being really bad at being social.
But there's no way you're going to actually stop judging people for that, right?
No, here's the question of what we mean by judge.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to come to the conclusion that you are bad at being social, if you're bad at being social, that is internal to me, and it will affect the way that I treat you. But I will not say that you're a bad person, and I will not make fun of you publicly for it, because I think that's counterproductive, yo.
But you will make fun of them, like, between you and your close friends.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not the sort of person who will... I may not make fun of you publicly for it, but if you're fucking kidding me. But if we are on one-on-one, and if we're the kind of friends that can be one-on-one together, I'll be like, dude, you got to stop that.
Right.
You got to figure this shit out. But
I'm just saying.
But just for people,
nobody's so squeaky clean that they won't make a joke about why they don't want to hang out with so and so.
But that's absolutely true, and I think that this is just true of having friends, that occasionally you vent about your friends' annoying, qualities, because all of our friends have annoying qualities.
This does become a very kind of, I don't want to say wishy-washy, but very theoretically fine-pointed distinction between judging and just making these observations about people.
I am not so wishy-washy that I would say that there is there is no
crossover.
I think that there are utilitarian imperatives.
I don't think I've ever parked in the rain before.
I know, it's kind of romantic. I think that there are utilitarian imperatives. I think that there is such a thing as being, you got to be good enough at life to get along.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you need help.
Yeah.
And that help can come in the form of hand-holding, or it can come in the form of, what people refer to as tough love. And there's a balance, between that to do. You can't hold people's hands too much, or you're enabling them. You can't just yell at people, because that doesn't help anything. Mm-hmm. This is all but we've drifted onto the subject of how you interact with people who you know. Versus how you interact with people on the internet.
I guess the reason I brought that up is because it seems like that's where behavior comes into play that would be usually read as judging.
Yeah, but it's
as opposed to just your mental behavior, your social behavior, mm-hmm. of explaining what's wrong with somebody.
It's like, I think that you got to do that sometimes, and I think that sometimes if somebody tells that to you and you don't agree with them, you tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
And I ain't Jesus. I don't know what's right for everybody. Who Josh has vaguely heard of Jesus, and
shit, fuck party.
Doubting Thomas, that's what it was.
Thomas.
He was the apostle who didn't believe that Jesus had raised from the dead and had to go and stick his finger right in the spear wound to be sure this was in fact the Jesus who had gotten.
I think we should start calling people who do that a shit fuck Jesus.
I'm judging you right now, Josh.
Don't.
Goodbye.
Bye.